Hey everybody, soybean farmer down here on the little farm here in North Carolina. I'm standing here looking at the very first field of beans that I planted for the 2019 year crop. This was planted on April 25th, and let's see, today is May 29th. Okay, this field, as you can see a spot, I'll explain what happened here. It's a spot right there, missing a row. It comes up there, and you come over here, and another spot right there, missing a row, and it picks up there. And spot here, 2 rows right there and there, kind of short and behind. Anyhow, same condition spreads on across the field over there. What happened when I planted this field, I knew it was too wet. It was wet soil. I could just barely get across it with the 40-20 when I was working it up. And the little Ford tractor compacted where those spots I showed you. They were wet and they got compacted. So for a couple of weeks, actually there was nothing there. Nothing came up in those spots. Wet, compacted soil, seed down in it, just didn't do. But we had a few more rains on this and came up. And all in all, basically, it's not a bad looking field, you know, for this time of year. So I walk on across it. You can see over here, there's another spot where row, let's see, right there, on out through there. Now, the issue we're into now is super abnormal heat for this time of year. For the last 9 days, we've been above 90 degrees. Some of the highs reaching about 95, 97 degrees, and the last good rain we had here was on May the 14th. I got about 1.5 inches here on the little farm. So it's dry. It's dry. You start looking around at the grass, and the grass is browned out. Grass is your first indicator that you've lost your soil moisture. And the grass all around here is browned out. Pretty sad shape. But beans, incredibly resilient little plants. So this field, for as dry as it is, these plants are standing up pretty. I really don't have any concern as of yet. And I got my usual optimistic, confident, some people say arrogant attitude that God's going to provide just like he always has. So God will put some water on it. It'll be a crop. Let's go over and look at something I am super pleased with. We'll be right back. This is back here on the 6-acre field. This field was planted on May the 2nd, and it had 2 little showers on it since it was planted, and it hadn't had any rain since that little last event. I think I said May 14th, somewhere along in there. But this is sand right here, and if the camera will focus, there's what happens to a bean plant in sand when it gets really hot and really dry. But it ain't dead yet. That plant could turn around and come right back if they got a drink of water. And this entire corner is like that. Now, something I wanted to show you that I was really excited about. I'm going to let you look at row population as I walk across here. I'll try to hold the camera stable. I'm down here at the end of the field, where starting about right here it starts turning into red clay. And I had struggled for years trying to get beans to come up in this red clay down at this end of the field. And if the camera's picking it up, you're going to see my joy, my happy joy. It was that program where I let this end of the field lay out for 2 years, planted sweet grazer sorghum on it, let it grow up, mowed it with a jive mower, let it grow up again, mowed it again, and then disc it in, chisel plow. We actually took that 2-row subsoiler and came back here and worked on it. But that is the best row population I have ever had back here in this red dirt. Just tickled to death with it. Now, as you look on out across the field, it looks really, really good, and then you get to, let me see, try to zoom, bring it in. It's hard to see with the sun out here. Alright, I think I got it. You see the white color of the ground out there. That's another super, super hard spot in this field. And I've got rows in it. I'm well pleased with that. That's been a spot that was hard to get, you know, good row population. So, a little bit of rain and things would be really, really good on this entire field. Way over there in that spot, it's all sand. In fact, we'll just ride over there instead of trying to zoom to it. Right down here on this location, this is sand. The field changes about, let's see, about right there. And from there on over, sand. A little bit of red clay right in this area right here, but sand. Well, that sand's dried out. And I had excellent row population. I still have excellent row population. And, you know, the contribution there was that seed cup mistake I had made for so many years that Jeff Raymond was a part of pointing out. Shoot, I forgot the kid's name. It'll come to me in a little bit. But anyhow, they caught it in a video where I had put a camera on a grain drill drop, pointed it out to me. I changed it, and excellent row population here. Tickled to death with it. But it is dry. I mean dry. All the states up, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, where y'all are getting all the water, you know, it's a mixed blessing. You know, down here, dry as a bone. This sand right here, if I don't get some water in the next, I'd say 9 to 14 days, and we keep this heat of 90+ degree, and the wind blowing, I don't know what's going to happen here. And you see a little spot right over there where it's a little, you know, darker green, where the plants have still got moisture in them. That's a soil change, different spot right in there. Now there's an issue up here. Come on, I'll take you up there and show it to you. Alright, right here I'm pointing the camera down, and I'm in the edge of the area that I'm going to show you. And you can see this grass is green, and the beans right here are still green and fairly healthy looking. Now as I take a few steps forward here, hope the camera's getting it, but you see the change in the color of the grass, and that row of beans right there basically just disappearing. And a little further down, that row of beans pretty much dead and gone. I'll get down here and give you a close up. Right there, there and there. And we'll go along here and let you see. Dead and gone. They're not coming back. This spot, it's patchy, but right here it's about 10 foot wide. And I guess, let's see, from there where you see it starting to revive, and then from there where you see it start to occur. And then there's some more of it right over in here. Well, this died on me last year, and I thought it had flooded out and drowned it. And there's some more of it right over there. And you know, you can think what's going on all you want to, but until you take a scientific approach to something, you'll never find out what actually is going on. So we did some soil testing in here, several different types of soil testing. But the test that I wanted run first was looking for the presence of nematodes, because that was what was my suspicion was happening right here. And sure enough, heavy infestation in this little spot, this area right here. Now, why was I never bothered by this before? With all the different varieties of soybeans seed, certain seed types have huge advantage over others. Norfolk King has probably the absolute best nematode resistance of anything you can put in the ground. And the Norfolk King was not affected by the nematodes in this land right here. Last year I gave up glyphosate beans, Norfolk King. The weed problem was driving me crazy. Water hemp, pigweed, morning glory had taken all the joy out of soybean farming. I'd had enough. So I went with the Liberty Link program and the credenza seed. Now, I had suspected that I had issues like this right here with nematodes, and I looked for the highest nematode resistant seed in the Liberty Link program, and the credenza bean that I selected was that. But even with that, it was only had half the rating of what that Norfolk King bean had. So there's the result. I'll give up this little spot right here for last year, this year, and probably 2 more years as I continue on with the Liberty Link herbicide program, and then go back to Norfolk King and get this spot back. But it's dry here in North Carolina. I don't think I can say that enough. It's dry. I mean, over there where the ATV's parked, you can get a look at that grass as the camera zooms in on it, and you can see that it's all browned out and dry. So we'll go take a look at the field that last video I put up. I was working land to plant it. Let's ride over there and see how that's doing. I did not plant it. I worked this field as hard as I could go that Saturday. All I had in my mind was get it planted, get planted early this year. And I finished it up. It was about 6:30. And I went back to the house and put 40-20 up. Was getting ready to break open bags of seed to put in the grain drill and come out here and plant this, and I got a word, revelation word. Don't plant it. Because I'd have had the same mess in this field right here that I had in that 6-acre field last year. When I planted that 6-acre field that we were just looking at last year, it went 21 days and turned off super high heat last June. And the germination ratio on that field dropped to about 50%. There were places that just never came up. I think I had about 4 acres of beans out there, and then they were poor because when it went back to raining, they got flooded. But with this, I still got time. I mean, today is May 29th. I planted beans here on July 4th, and they did good because they got water and everything else they needed. And I'd rather keep those beans in the bag with their labeled 80% germination ratio than put them out here in this bone dry, powder dry soil that ain't got no water in it, ain't had any water put on it, and weather forecast guy says it's gonna be a while before we're gonna get any water on it. But I'll tell you something, this land is so dry I cannot see a single weed on it. And weeds don't need water to grow. They just grow. They got a blessing. You go back and read what God said to Adam about how he was going to have to earn his living, and what God said about thistles and thorns. They got a blessing. They don't need water. They'll grow. But there ain't a weed in sight in this field. And no, I've not put anything out there. It's just that dry. And as far as pre-emergence go, I didn't use them this year. Last year, I was just beat up something bad after 4 years of water hemp, pigweed, sickle pod, morning glory, lamb's quarter, and glyphosate just weren't working. I went on the herbicide program, weed killing program at 100% last year with that N5 pre-emergent. And the places that I got rain within 36 hours of the application worked out great. But the places that I did not, I wasted my money. And money being tight like it is, I decided this year I would leave off the pre-emergent and rely on the Liberty Link herbicide, because that stuff works great. It did last year. Hoping it will again this year. Well, everybody, thanks for watching my videos. That's what's going on here. This is a 5-acre field we've been panning back and forth across. Takes about 2 hours and 40 minutes to plant it, so got that coming up. And then I've got a 2-acre strip over there behind those trees that I'm going to put sweet grazer sorghum on as a soil improvement program. And I've got a little, about 4/10 of an acre over that way that I'm going to do the same thing with. And of course, sweet grazer sorghum can be planted in on up, July, the end of July. So I got plenty of time on that. Just looking for some rain, and it'll get here. Everybody, thanks. Bye, y'all.